unless you understand the triune nature of God, and you go, yeah, 3 in 1. And that's why we see the identity, Yahweh, the sacred name of God, is very clearly associated only with the living God, not with any other God. Nothing, no. This is the God of the Bible, the God of our salvation. J. Edwin Orr, highly, very solid Bible commentator, said when it comes to trying to describe God, explain, come up with a definition, he says, God is the only infinite, eternal, and unchangeable spirit. We see him say things like, I'm the Lord, I do not change. So great news about that is he's always reliable. He's not going to be, I come to him today and he's gracious, I come to him tomorrow and he goes, forget you. Thank you, Lord, that you're not changeable. You don't, have a bad day and write us off. He's the perfect being in whom all things begin, right? The creator. Continue. He's the sustainer and end. We see the book of Revelation. It's all of our existent creation purposes wrapped up in him. So we see that God created. In the beginning, God. Now we're in the next word, created. Interesting in the Hebrew word, there's several different words they could use there. This word, Hebrew word, is the Hebrew word bara. And it means literally to create out of nothing. So it's not reorganizing materials, there's all this material, all this matter in the universe, and he reorganized it. No, he created out of nothing. It's a joke. And maybe it's not a funny joke, but I always tell it because I like it. So you guys have to humor me, I guess. Modern scientists, pretty brilliant people, and they've come a long way with DNA and cloning and all those kinds of things. And scientists was challenging God, saying, stuff about you creating man out of the dust, we can do the same thing. He says, I challenge you, God. You make your human being out of the dust, and I'll make mine out of my dust. And he goes, no. I haven't created mine out of nothing. You go get your own dust. And it's it's intended to be just like a light joke, but the idea is, right, that's right. He didn't start with something. He started with nothing. He created out of nothing, and that's a significant thing. And you go, well, so what? What do I care about that? It doesn't really. Okay, so think just a little bit. If God created out of nothing, that means he's not part of his creation. Okay, that has a lot of implications with worldwide religions. One of them, actually several of them, believe in pantheism. Ancient Greek and Roman stuff, pantheism, and certainly some of the modern Eastern religions believe in pantheism, that God's in all of creation. Okay, if we understand the biblical account, no, he created it out of nothing. He's not part of it. It's not part of him. And what that means is if God's not part of creation, or creation is not part of God, God obviously created it, but it's not part of him. And so when you think about plants and animals, I love the natural environment, trees. We live in a great place where you can walk out and see all the different kinds of trees. We can see animals, birds, the eagles. You probably watch the eagle cam and see all that stuff happening. And it's cool, it's exciting, it's interesting, but it's not God. Some people make that mistake and they worship the creation. They go, well, God's in the trees. No, he's not. He created it, but he's not in it. It's not God. The mountains are not God. And it tells us something in the book of Revelation that he's going to fold this creation up and put it away. And you can't do this, it's a great one. It's like, no, it's just a creation. He can do whatever he wants to with it. And actually it tells us that he's going to make new heavens and a new earth, and the old one he's going to put away. And it won't diminish him in any way, because he's not part of it. So you go out in the forest, you find these little cool rocks and stuff like that. This is a cool rock, but it's not God. It's just a rock. Right? So it matters. Those implications matter when we think about them. God created out of nothing, and it tells us that God created the heavens is the first thing that's stated. And you go, what are heavens? What does that mean? God created the heavens. plural, right? Heavens, S, plural, right? We get that. Well, the Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians, Paul tells us about an individual who was caught up into, he says, the third heaven. Okay, and you go, well, there's at least 3 that we know of then, because he was in the third one. Well, generally speaking, we come to the conclusion there's at least 3 different levels or types of heaven, meaning space, sky, that kind of thing. The heavens of the atmosphere, that would be the most immediate one. The one we look up, we see the blue, we see the clouds, we see, we can tell weather through it, birds fly through it, airplanes fly through it. We know that there's atmosphere around our planet. We're pretty aware of that. It has limitations, and then beyond that is space. All right, that would be the second heaven, the expanse of space. Both of these things are created by God. He created the heavens, right? But there's also a third heaven, which Paul was talking about, that it seems to be the heaven of the place where God dwells. And when he talks about a new heaven and a new earth, it seems like he's doing a new work there. And you go, okay, is it something that he's going to recreate, expand, the place where God dwells? Well, yeah, he's already working on it, right? We know that he's working on a place for you and for me that's part of that new earth. It's interesting, if you ever read the book Heaven, right? Book Heaven by Randy Alcorn. Yeah, Randy Alcorn, excellent book. Stretch your heart, your mind, thinking about heaven, and he talks about the connection between new earth, and the one we live on. That it's, why do you call it Earth? You could have called it a new Mars or something, and we go, but no, it's somehow it's a connection to this Earth, but obviously in a vastly improved version of it. And there's a city there, and there's trees there, and there's rivers there, and we sometimes get in our heads, because there's some great pictures in Revelation, great glimpses of heaven, the throne room, and worship, and and obviously way different worship than we experience here, but just more, and we think sometimes heaven is going to be just like a giant church service forever. Does that sound good to you guys? Yeah. I mean, I love worshiping God, and I love gathering together in assemblies and stuff like that, but I don't think I want to live there. And I mean, I'm a church guy. Even I don't want to live like that. But obviously you have a place to live, and it's the capital city of Jerusalem is described, but it's part of an earth that has to be mega times bigger than this earth and perfect. We don't have to live inside 4 walls in heaven and say, "Oh, this is paradise." It's like that's his description of paradise is way beyond that. Right? And so it's something that God's doing, and he created the heavens. So this is me trying to be fun for you. The heavens, space. Let's talk about space. We could talk about the atmosphere. You probably would get bored to tears, but we're glad we got an atmosphere, right? We're glad we got oxygen, plants, fresh. We got the fresh air up here. But let's talk about space, because most of us will never see it. I mean, we'll see it, but we'll never go into it. And it's part of the creation, part of what he created. We live in the Milky Way galaxy, right? Okay, all right. Got a couple astronomers here. Okay, the next nearest galaxy is the Andromeda galaxy, and it is so close. It's our nearest neighbor. It's only 12 million trillion miles away. And if you traveled at the speed of light, it would take you 2.5 years to get there. Of course, we can't travel at the speed of light, but the 2.5, oh, sorry, did I say 2.5 years? 2.5 million years to get there. So when all these guys are talking about, aliens, and we're going to go there, and we're going to travel, and we're going to, NASA and all that kind of stuff, it's like, it's a joke. I'm not against them trying and using their brains and stuff. To go to the next galaxy, it would take them traveling at the speed of light, which we cannot do, 2.5 million years. That ain't never going to happen. But that's why science fiction comes up with things like warp speed? What are they talking about? They realize that if you travel the speed of light, you never get there. So you got to warp it somehow. And they come up with a fictional idea that they somehow can multiply the speed of light. We're not even approaching the speed of light. But they're going to warp it, and then we're going to be able to go these vast distances. And it's like, oh, come on, let's be real. But isn't it interesting? Here we are in this is the Milky Way galaxy. Probably an artist rendition. It could be, and it's not Hubble. I don't know how they got the picture. And that's one of the things, honestly, when you look at some of this stuff, there's some amazing photography, Hubble stuff. But you also have to be careful because some of the stuff you look at and you go, that's just amazing. And you find out it's an artist, impression and see, oh, that's not real. But this is a picture of the galaxy that you and I live in. Milky Way has 200 billion stars in it. Stars like our sun. Okay, so a lot of stars with the possibility of a lot of solar systems that would go with that. It's a pinwheel, right? And it spins, it rotates. And if you say us, we go around, and we would call it like if we're going around the sun, we'd call it a day, right? But for the Milky Way rotation, it takes 250 million years to go around one time. Okay. What else? What else do we know? Oh, this is fun. This is something you could see maybe if you went over the rim and looked down over the valley, saw the cloud cover comes in, and you see the moon over the top. For every patch of sky that you look at, the size of our moon, you would, if you could look deep